All right, everybody. How's it going? It's David Kramer, the Critical Thinking Christian, and I'm coming at you with two more contradictions, and this time it's in two different chapters of the Bible, two different books. One is Galatians and one is Proverbs, where the contradiction are in the same chapter. With in Proverbs, you have one verse. I'll go over to Proverbs. Okay. Proverbs 26, and the two verses are verses 4 and 5. Okay, and I can see that better when I don't do that. Verse 4 tells us, "Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him." All right? Verse 5 says, "Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit." So what should we do here? Okay, because we all know people who are foolish, and a good example is of say a boss who's not doing his job right, and he's getting away with it because higher ups above him are just as dumb as he is, and you tell the fool that ain't gonna work, and the fool doesn't listen to you because the fool doesn't have to listen to you. Okay? So it would be better to not answer a fool according to his folly. So you don't tell him, what to do because he's an idiot. I look at a person that does something foolish and you say, "Listen, that's wrong. You shouldn't do that way." And they go, "Oh yeah, you're right. And I won't do it that way." That's not a fool. So a fool is someone that I think you don't. I think what you should do with a fool, that's what you should do with a fool. "Hey you, all right, knock it off, or the next time you get the foot." That's what you do to a fool. I mean, hey, sometimes painful object lessons are the best. I've had some in my life where people had to fucking hit me. It's like, knock it off. It's like, yeah, that hurt, and I'm going to knock it off. But anyway, this is stupid. What do? Well, I'm not going to answer a fool. Well, wait a minute. Verse 5 tells you should answer a fool. So that's one contradiction. Okay? The next contradiction is in Galatians 6. And I'm going to read, let's see. I'm going to read from verse 1. "Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ." Okay. "For if a man thinks himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. For every man shall bear his own burden." Okay. I agree with 5. I have to bear my own burden. Okay. I have projects that I have to do, and sometimes work around the house doesn't go smooth. Sometimes it goes real smooth. Sometimes, you got to figure something else out because what you already thought about isn't going to work. So that's your burden, and you got to figure it out. No one can come in now. For a project in a home, I can always get somebody to bear my burden and do it. They do it. I pay them. But I'm not going to do that with most of the shit. I'm going to learn it. So I got to bear my own burden. Okay? Like I said, in that case, you could get somebody to bear your burden. But as a homeowner, I think I'd be very irresponsible, especially as a man. As a man, I need to man up. Okay? Now, if you have a health problem, no one's going to be able to bear your burden. If you have a sin problem, say you got a problem where you smoke, I don't know, let's just say 3 packs of cigarettes a day. and you really have a hard time quitting. The only way someone else could bear your burden would be if they smoked your 3 packs of cigarettes a day. So people, and this here is talking about a fault. This seems to be talking about a sin, something bad that you're doing that you can only bear. Okay, you're somebody. I like running stop signs. If I don't see anybody coming, if I can see both ways and nobody's coming, boom, I don't stop. I slow down. Of course, I don't drive up to it like 80 miles an hour and go, yeah, no one's coming. So if I'd get caught, I'd get fined. So I guess technically somebody else could pay my fine and bear my burden. But if it's an illness, like you're sick, no one can bear your burden. You got to bear your own burden. So, but like I said, this here is for a moral or ethical fault that you've done, and nobody can bear that burden. If you're dealing with suffering, if you're suffering, they can come up and say, "Hey, man, I'm on your side, just talk to me," and shit like that. They can kind of, but they can't bear your burden. So this here, verse 2 is actually nonsense. And then of course they do get it right down here in 5. So, there are 2 different contradictions. So that's pretty much all I got right now. I'm looking around. I'm checking things out. So that's like I said, that's it. So until next time, this is David Kramer, the Critical Thinking Crystal.